Here we are again. Day 27, 365-day personal transformation. We're doing a summary today. James Allen, as a man thinketh. And as short as this is, with just 7 chapters, really that covers the point. It's really all based on the point that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And if you like, take a further quote that the kingdom of God is within you, and which really goes back to the huna of the world is what you think it is. So he covers that. The first point is just that there is such a thing as thought. Thought does have an effect. Thought creates your life. And then the second chapter is that it affects the circumstances around you. We've covered in Go Thunk Yourself that by calming yourself and having a direct vision of what you want to achieve or create or acquire, that you will get intuitive glimpses of actions you need to take. And if you take those actions, you follow that up and you create a positive feedback loop on that, then you'll get more and more synchronistic or serendipitous synchronicities showing up in your life. Odd coincidences that if you take advantage of them, that you'll hyperspeed yourself into a much better setup, faster than you can imagine. It's really just how your thought is running, which creates your whole world. And then, of course, it also affects your health and your body. And we went over the fact that health is, for the bulk of us, health is a native state, and that you get back to your native state, and all these talents and abilities are all native, far more than we can actually even enumerate right now. And then by chapter 4, he's covering that you really ought to have a star-high purpose. Again, I mentioned that the point there is that on a bell curve, the bulk of people are following just the simple purpose of getting by, of having an enjoyable life, children doing somewhat better than you are. The bottom end is people trying to destroy everything. The top end is people trying to create a huge, better world. So within that range of things, it's whatever purpose you want to take. Then he goes into chapter 5 about, because of this, by choosing a purpose and by choosing a goal, you can then achieve amazing things. And this, again, is just what you consider your limits are as far as what you're going to do. If you accept no limits, if you say, well, the world is what I think it is, then you can achieve amazing things. Really no end to what you can achieve. And by chapter 6, he's talking about visions and ideals, about a lofty vision will create a high result, and which led right into the point, his final chapter, which it surprised me that it was the final chapter. I thought it was more than that. That serenity is your end point. Once you get, if you really get everything squared away, you'll live in this unflappable, serene state all the time. And that's really, James Allen's stuff is really, while you can get a lot out of it, you can read it every day and get something else out of it. It's very short, sweet, to the point. This Has a Man Thinketh. He wrote a lot of other books. But this is the one that people keep going back to, is influential, and keep paraphrasing it and quoting in their own versions. And I think I covered it, and that's why I included it in the book. You can Go Thunk Yourself, so you'd have everything you needed to get started. And this is a basic book. What we've got coming up is I've got to summarize real quickly something I went over a few days ago about how about this whole chain of the key sources that I found, that I mapped out during this whole study. And we'll lay out all the authors and when they occurred, what they did, da-da-da-da-da-da. And so you'll see the interrelationships between them. It hopefully won't be very lengthy, but I've got to do a flip chart to lay that out for you. Then we're going to get into the summary of the science of getting rich. We're still going back through this book, the book one of this thing. Summary of the science of getting rich, we're going to cover that. We aren't going to cover the master key system. It's in there, study question with answers this time, because we're going to take up each one of those. Each one of these is, each one of his 24 lessons by and of themselves. Hopefully we'll do a good job on them. And then that will give us, I'll briefly cover, I think I've got one day to cover on the second book, because the core of it is really simple. It allowed me to expand on a lot of different areas, but there's not a lot to it. Then we'll get into this, what's in the Go Thunk Yourself Some More, which is where I really break it down and start saying, here is exactly what the steps you do to really improve your life from here on out. It's not complicated, but there's very exact steps, and we'll see this flow that you'll get into, and you'll just, once you get all the way to the end, come back to the beginning. And keep going until this stuff works its way into your own system, your own being, your own essence. And then you'll have these tools anytime you think. It's just like anything you study over and over and over, you'll get really, really good at it. And these points, again, what I'm covering is, and the reason I'm covering all this, because these guys have figured this stuff out and they've studied it all, and all we have to do is distill from them the common points and get those down cold, which I hope I've done for you. And you can, again, I'm not saying accept anything I say. Test it all for yourself, or it's not going to work for you worth a damn. But by having all these materials and allowing it, you have a runway you can check things out with. And this is just because these guys have done tons of work. And now, because with the internet, we can put all this together in a system, or a sequence, or a base that you can use. And then the world is your, whatever you want it to be. Your dreams can now become reality as faster than scat. And so this is the whole point. So we've got most of a year's worth left. I've got a lot of ground to cover. So we'll see you around tomorrow even. Thanks.